Thank you.
How does it feel to be a member of the Seattle Seahawks? Just your overall thoughts on this.
Yeah, it's an honor. I remember traveling out here the first time I got a shot at somewhat of a free agency. I was restricted because of what was going on with the CBA, and it felt good then, and it feels good now. So it's an honor to be here and play with some champions and get an opportunity to do things the right way.
Is it crazy for you to think that 8 years after you were last year on that trip that you actually are on this roster now and a part of this?
Yes, because I had a few opportunities. When I left Chicago, left the Jets, and things just didn't work out. It wasn't a great fit then. So I was a little shocked that we finally got something done. That's just part of it. You go through the process and try to figure out what's the best fit for you. And obviously, teams do their due diligence. So it's a blessing to finally be here. I'm excited to play with the guys, learn. There's some things that I've already been challenged on, and you would think that going into your 13th year that you pretty much peaked and you're tapped out. But there's some areas that Coach Nate has already pointed out where I can get better at, and I'm excited about that. And catching the ball and being more consistent there, route running, and competing every single play. So I'm excited to get out there and get better. So it's a blessing to be here.
How's the ankle and what exactly did you have and where is it right
Yeah, so I had surgery on my left ankle, deltoid, snapped that, fifth game of the season against the Chargers, freak accident. And probably since 2015, my first year with the Jets, I hurt my toe in the Oakland game. And, knew I needed surgery, but it was one of those things where I was going to wait till I retired because a surgery like that, it takes 5, 6, 7 months to get back right. And I didn't want to lose my off season, so I was going to wait till I retired. When I snapped my ankle, I said, well, I got half of the season and then I got the off season, so I might as well do it now. And that's the thing that took the longest. Right when I was released from the Giants, probably a few days later, I was able to run pain free. I was able to run routes and do things and train or rehab, but it wasn't pain free. So right when they started mini camp, and that was my goal to get out there and compete, was my first day running pain free. So I've been working ever since, and I feel good. I don't feel great. Obviously I got a lot of catching up to do, and get into some football shape. Since November or end of October, I was working with Coach Wellman, our head strength and conditioning coach with the Giants, and we've been doing a lot of rehab, right, fixing things. So now the last couple of weeks, I finally got an opportunity to go into training, getting better at catching the ball, getting better at route running, getting better at decelerating, and all those little things that make you a great wide receiver. So I'm excited about the process. I'm not where I want to be, not even close. But my goal is to be in mid-season form come camp.
Assume you had some other offers. What made you pick Seattle now and make you think this is a good fit for you now?
Yeah, well, no, I didn't have a ton of options. I think the sentiment around the league is that I'm done. And I get it, rightfully so. When you get on the other side of 30 and your production slips and you have a big injury, people just count you out. So it was an interesting process. It was a humbling process, to say the least. There were some really tough days that I had to push through, mentally and physically. So for this to be an opportunity and come to, you can't ask for a better situation. You got probably top 3 quarterback. You got one of the best franchises. You got a young nucleus, guys that are hungry and ready to compete. That's rare nowadays, right? You got so many guys that come into the league with a sense of entitlement, come into the league, you know, uh, looking for the fame first and searching for the fame first instead of putting in the work, and so it's good to see this organization from afar, how they do things, and now being here, seeing these young guys just on point, man. Just sitting in the meetings today, my first day in the meetings, everybody was focused. It was all about football, and that's rare nowadays. So, I'm excited to get out there and do my part.
What
You
did you
mentioned humbling process. Is it also kind of a motivational process with that in mind as well?
Yeah, absolutely. That's fair to say. Definitely use a lot of things for motivation. You know, yeah, a lot of things. A lot of things. A lot of guys will get up there and say, they don't read the headlines, but I'm a guy that kind of understands the environment, and I've had mentors tell me that it's a humbling, humbling. I'm excited.
How do you think you can help the Seahawks?
I'm gonna be the same guy I've always been, and I'm gonna be better. My goal is to be more consistent in the things that I'm great at. I read this book a long time ago, Good to Great, by Jim Collins, one of the most prominent business leaders and writers and out there, and talks about the hedgehog concept. What is it that you're the best in the world at? And for me, I'm a big guy, really physical. My game is built off of that, and I want to do that plus more. I want to be more consistent at the thing that I'm great at. Big body guy, getting in and out of my breaks, being consistent, moving the chains, getting in the red zone, and we got to be unstoppable down there. And I pride myself off of that. When I first got in the league, I was just doing what I was told. And when I got to Miami, they killed me because I only had like 3 touchdowns. They paid me all this money. I had 3 touchdowns. That was the first time I realized, that you got to score touchdowns in this league. So I really broke down the red zone, and since then things have, taken off, and I'm ready to get that part of my game back on track. The last 2 years have been down, a big downer for me. So I'm excited to get back in the red zone and do that. But I'm excited about where I'm at right now, and physically and mentally, just got to get better.
When you visited here a few weeks ago, what did you say, or what do you think you showed that eventually led to you actually getting an offer?
It wasn't much that I said. I will say that the process that they take you through, as far as the screening process, is worse than the TSA line and trying to get, So they did their due diligence, to say the least, and they really broke down everything since I've been in the league, and we had some great conversations, some transparent conversations, and some challenging conversations. I had to answer some tough questions. But I think the biggest thing that they wanted to see is me run around. At this point, a lot of guys will say, I'm 34 and I'm established. Why do I have to work out? So I think my workout was good. It wasn't great because of where I was in my rehab process. But I was proud of it. 2 weeks before that workout, 3 weeks before that workout was the first time I was able to even get on the field and run full routes, pain-free. So I think that was the biggest thing. It was more how I looked out there, and I think, as a older athlete, the thing that you got to do is you got to be really consistent in your rehab and your prehab, and just taking care of your body. Every single day is challenging, and it's a different day. You got to figure out what's going on with your body, in that moment, and you got to problem solve. So that's where I'm at now, and you got to be relentless in that approach. And if you can do that, I think you can still play at a high level with modern medicine and all the technology that we have, and amazing doctors and PT guys that we have out there. You just got to be willing to put in the work. There's no more, waking up and rolling out of the bed and running, 10 hundreds and 20 hundreds, or, running routes. Like, it takes, 45 minutes to an hour just to get warmed up. And I think that's where guys fall off, because they're not willing to put in that work. And, I've always been the guy willing to do that.
You mentioned some of the tough questions. Obviously there's been some stories like locker room tension between Sheldon and New York. There's been some legal incidents. We asked Pete about that. He said Brandon's been so transparent about all this.
Yeah.
He's put himself out there. We're getting Brandon now. How much different do you think you are today than in the past?
Well, it depends on where I'm at in the past. Ask me where I'm at. If you're asking about in Denver 2008, big difference. If you're asking me about Chicago, a little bit, not so much. You're asking about Jets, I'm the same guy. Since my last year, I learned so much in Chicago, right? When I first got in the league, I was a football player. I didn't understand how big of an opportunity this was and how much of a blessing it was. I didn't understand, how to conduct myself in front of the camera and, dealing with PR. So when I got to Chicago, once I got through all the off the field issues that I had, I still wore my emotions on my sleeve and still made mistakes. And Chicago taught me so much about leadership. It taught me so much about how to conduct myself in the good times and the bad times. When you win, you can't hang from the rafters. When you lose, you can't just hang your head, hang your hat. And when I got to the Jets, I took all those things that I've learned and I tried to apply those things. And obviously, it's a high emotional game, and things can kind of get away from you or the team, and you just got to do your best to conduct yourself. But I'm not patting myself on the back, but I'm patting myself on the back from where I was in 2006 to where I am now. I'm proud of, and I'm proud of the husband I am. I'm proud of the father that I am. I'm proud of the, leader and more nonprofit that I am, the teammate I am. So, it's just my job to be reliable and dependable every single day.
You mentioned a couple minutes ago that after your time in Miami, you broke down the red zone. What did you mean by that?
A lot of times the game is so physical, and we focus on that. We come out here and we do the physical things every single day. That's all we do. Even in our approach to get ready for the field, the stuff that we do in the weight room and all the training. But a lot of times we overlook the mental aspect. You can win in this game, in any sport, before you even touch the field, before you even touch the court, if you are properly prepared mentally, breaking down film, understanding the DB's tendencies, understand what defensive coordinators are going to do against you. I remember playing against New England years ago, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't get off the jam, right? And then after the game, I was able to break it down, and I realized that I had a tell. I realized that every time I put my right side foot up, I was only running 2 routes. When I put my left side foot up, I was only running a few routes, and they knew that, right? So when you understand the game that way, then you can use that against them, and then you can also benefit off of it. So when you get in the red zone, you understand what the DB's responsibility is, and you try to attack it the best way you can, and you take advantage of those opportunities. And then also you got to understand what you're great at, and being on the same page as your quarterback is crucial, right? What are you going to do when the guy beats you up at the line? What are you going to do? Where's the ball going to be when you beat the guy off the line and you're in a plus 5 and you got to fade? What are you going to do versus certain coverages and certain looks? Like, there's so many things that you have to be on the same page with your quarterback and the other receivers on, because the game is a team sport. And if you can do that and communicate effectively at a high level, the game is really easy without disrespecting the game.
Brady, you've been the number one option, most of your career. I think you said 34 coming off an injury. If Pete and the team decides that they really put you in a more secondary role playing kind of situation, how would you be with that? Just considering that you've kind of been the go-to guy in this career.
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing about my career is I've never really been in a system where guys say you're the number one guy. I've always pride myself on being the number one tandem, the number one receiving core. When I made the switch from running back to receiver, when I was young, my uncle pulled me to the side and he said, "You're only going to be as good as the receiver on the other side." So in college, Mike Sims Walker and myself, we had a tremendous year. When I made it to the NFL, Eddie Royal had 91 catches. I had 100 catches. Took pride in that. Tony Scheffler, had 60-something catches, and Brandon Stokely had 45 catches. And we had a running back, Peyton Hillis, who had a tremendous year. Then I went to Miami, and not so good. We're not going to talk about that stint. And then you get to Chicago, and then you had myself, Alshon Jeffrey, Martellus Bennett. Every single play was different. One play I was the number one, and the next play I was the number 3 or 4, or wasn't even an option, running a dummy route. So I'm a pull from all of those situations, and I think that's the only way to have an effective offense that produce consistently is when everyone just plays their role and everyone's unselfish. So whatever your role is on that play, you got to execute. Same thing with the Jets. Eric Decker and I was the number one tandem, right? And just the way we communicated with our quarterback and how we worked, we were always on the same page. There was games where coach came to me and said, Brandon, it's not your game. You're going to have to block, and you have to do some other things in a run game, and maybe we'll get you a screen or a bubble here and there, but we need you to pull coverage. So I'm okay with that. And at this point in my career, I only have 2 goals, it's not about how many balls I catch, it's about how many wins I have at the end of the day.
What compelled you to combat the stigma of mental health where you did? And what did you get out of it?
Well, that's easy. We talked about my past, and you can see from afar, you can see, man, that's a troubled guy. What's going on? Sometimes when you approach things with curiosity, you can see that there's something else there. You can go a little deeper and say, wow, that guy needs help. And for me, I was so in awe. When I was at McLean Hospital, I spent 3 months in an outpatient program there. I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. I was in DBT, dialectical behavior therapy. You got the great Marsha Linehan that's out here in Seattle, prominent figure in our community who developed dialectical behavior therapy, saved so many lives. I was in cognitive behavior therapy. I was in mentalization. I was in self-assessment. I did a neurological evaluation, looked at my brain, see if I was capable of change. I did a clinical evaluation to see what was going on in my life, and what I was, if I had a diagnosis, and the reason why it was so amazing to me, and I knew I had to do something, is because within a month and a half, things that I was struggling with for years, I felt 100 times better. And I couldn't believe that there was treatments out there and doctors out there that can make that big of a difference that quickly. Now, everyone's case is different. There's some people that, that have, different things that they deal with, and their recovery is different. But for me, I was just in awe, and the fact that I sat on my couch 1 month and I had a hoodie on, couldn't talk, wouldn't talk, isolated myself, dealing with depression, and a month and a half later, I'm at a hockey game watching the Bruins. I'm at baseball games eating hot dogs, drinking a beer. Not a big beer drinker, but I tried it. I'm smiling. I'm high-fiving people I don't know, sitting in coffee shops, having conversations with strangers. That was the most amazing thing for me.
The inside the NFL show, you're not going to be able to
Keep doing that, or to try, or
Well, obviously, no. It's just too that trip is too far, 5.5 hours. And at this point in my career, I'm just focused on going out the right way and being a football player. Those opportunities will be there when I'm done, and I'll let Ray Lewis and Phil Simms and Boomer and JB keep my seat warm. Okay, do not take away my seat. I may do a guest appearance here and there from Satellite, but I won't be doing that on a weekly basis.
What were your 2 goals?
Perfect place for you.
I'd rather keep those to myself right now. Maybe I'll share that with you guys at a later time. Yeah.
Where did you get the 12 jersey yesterday for that?
Right after my workout in the airport, I went in there and I bought a couple things, a shirt, some socks, because I knew that moment was going to happen. I felt good about the workout.
Anything else, guys?
Do you feel this is the perfect place for you, up in this corner, for everything you want to do, kind of away from New York, away from big cities, things like that, just get this stage in your life?
Yeah, I think it's part of the process. That's the amazing thing about the journey I've been on. Been in different environments, different places in the country, and you meet some amazing people, and it's just part of the process. And it couldn't be a better situation for me. Like I said, first-class organization, and great athletes here, guys that keep the main thing the main thing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you guys. All right.